gaveling. Okay, it being 6 p.m., I'm going to call the October 27th, 2025 meeting of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Board of Directors order. Roll call, Allison.
Director Martinson.
Here.
Director Kentosh.
Here.
Director Berg. Here. Director Quillisi.
Here.
Director Curtis.
Here.
And Chair Ulrich.
Here.
And then Director Reed has an absence, which was determined, so not here tonight.
Good. Do we have any additional requests not on the agenda?
No additions.
Well, no, it's item red.
Oh,
Before item 3. Okay, so we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to lead us, Director Berg?
yes. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, to the republic that stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay. Additions, item number 4, additions or amendments to the agenda. Scott or Allison?
Or none.
Okay. Item number 5, public concerns. These are items not on the agenda. There's a 3-minute limit. There's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any item not on the agenda, but under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Ojai Valley Sanitary.
Good afternoon, directors. My name is Mike Sipak. I'm a local resident. I'm in the process of constructing a second unit on my lot, as you know, called ADUs. I just got a letter from you guys a few weeks ago with my fees. It's about $8,100. Cost of my project, about $93,000 to build. Fees alone from the sewer district far surpass any of the fees I'm going to pay to anyone else. State law requires proportionality, and I have to tell you that, recent Supreme Court decisions, the case up in Oregon for sheets, also does require rough proportionality. Now, my unit is 200 square feet. It is classed as a low-income unit by this county. It will provide low-income residents a place to live, sub $1,500 a month rent. You guys are asking me to pay $8,100 in fees. I do not find that proportionate. In fact, I think in contravenes state law, which is why I'm assuming the district is sued and was sued in the past. I'm here to argue, not for that, because that'll play its course in the court. What I'm here to argue about is the fact that I'm trying to provide low-income housing to this community, and that 10% of my total project cost is going to go just to capacity fees. Now, fees need this pesky thing called Nexus. I don't know if I haven't seen your fee study. I'm looking forward to seeing this, the fee study, and I'm looking at the Nexus. What I'm asking you to do today is review that, review exemptions for low-income units. I'm also giving another way out. I'm demolishing a couple of structures that are existing established structures on my property. Under this district's policies, one can convert an existing structure with an additional 150 square feet, which is play on state law. It's slightly incorrect, but we're not getting into that. My structures are less or more than 200 square feet combined that are being demoed. I'm not calling them a conversion because they're not, but they are structures that are existing and established. Those structures, under state law, ADU state law, benefit from the same protections as conversions. I'll give you an example. If I have a permitted structure that doesn't meet current ADU standards for setback, but I want to put my ADU in there, the state would allow me to demo that structure and rebuild it in the same position, not moving it to respect the setbacks, because the existing structure was established. Between the shed and the carport I'm removing, it's well in excess of 200 square feet. If you don't like the idea of giving exemptions to affordable housing, I implore you to look at this as a conversion and allow me to benefit from the same fee I would benefit from had I had a garage that I would convert. The fixture count would not change. It would be exactly the same, but I would not have to pay the fees as they are right now, capacity fees. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much.
You,
No, they didn't.
are there any other?
This cell phone.
Not that I'm aware of, but you may want to ask clearly for the record that we gave everybody the opportunity for something not on the agenda.
Yes, is there anyone present or anyone online that would have a comment during public comments and public concerns? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on to the next item, which are consent items. Item 6, 7, and 8. Are there any questions or comments?
I had several and answered them all, and I'd move approval, 6, 7, and
Second.
second.
Okay, very good, Ellison.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Director Pelosi,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
and Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, Dennis hasn't joined us yet, Counselor. Okay, so at that point, I think we'll move item number 9 a little further to the back of the queue here, so that we can take care of some business and also so that we can have the arrival of the district council. That having said that, we're at item number 10, A and B. Wastewater treatment and oxidation ditch gates electric actuators purchase budget adjustment number 2026-10, amount $32,445. Scott?
Sure. For your consideration is the purchase of just the actuators. As the amount that you called out, the 32,445. It does not include the installation. The actuators have a lead time of 4 to 6 weeks. Staff was thinking we could get in front of this, get them ordered and have them ready for install. Installation price, we don't have a definitive installation price now on it. It's estimated to be at about $50,000 for conduit, electrical poles, associated work.
So this isn't a replacement, this is a new installation relative, further hardware related to the oxidation ditch.
Yeah, what we have going on is in the oxidation ditches, we have 2 gates that control the return from the aerobic zone back into the anaerobic zone or to the anoxic zone. These gates right now are set up on manual turning styles, and they all go out with the wheel and you change it. To get peak efficiency we call them the racetracks. To get peak efficiency in the racetracks, you really need to be changing the operation coincident with the diurnal curve, right? So the flow comes in based off of people's use in the system. And what we need to do is measure dissolved oxygen, ORP, so oxygen reduction, what the P stands for. But based off of those 2 things, we can then change the gate to change the recirc. By doing that, it enables us to get our nitrates down to pretty low levels, down to 2.5 milligrams per liter or so. Right now, we're doing it manually. It could be improved. And we would improve it using an automated system that would have these actuators that would then be controlled by SCADA.
I noticed in your report that you're going to be replacing the gates themselves possibly this coming summer. And if you selected limit torque actuators that are compatible with the existing gates, they're also going to be compatible with the new future gates. And you have an adapter plate for adjusting the bolts where the bolts are different or something like that. A question for you is there anything to be gained from just buying the gates and the actuators at the same time so we don't have to go through that intermediate step? In other words, you're going to buy the new gates anyway coming this summer. And if you bought a mat set or 2 mat sets, you could get the gates and the actuators all installed and working together now, not have to go through that process twice.
There may be something in that regard. We won't be able to install both of the gates this summer. So it's going to require that one of the 2 oxidation ditches come completely offline. So one would be installed this summer. The next one would be installed the summer after. The actuators can be installed on top of the existing gates and put into operation in in the term of months. But for us to get both gates replaced and think of the project as a whole, both gates with actuators would require 2 summers of work. It's possible, but it would push out our time frame of optimizing the system all the way out into this summer of.
You take both ditches offline at the same time.
You can't take both ditches offline at the same time. That's right. You can't do that. And the reality is we need probably 12 to 14 weeks to build up to take a ditch offline, and at the same time to, you can't, even if we're gonna take a ditch offline, it's a 12-week process because you have to build up to it, do the work, and then undo it.
Just a thought.
Thank you. It's a good idea. I mean, it's possible if you wanted us to do it. I think we'll be okay without it, but I understand the concern also. Given the circumstances, I think we'd be best off to try to get into an optimization mode as early as we can.
Is this, it looks like this is added computer control for more efficiency in the flow. I'm wondering, is this an idea that was considered when the TMDL project was put together and just not done at the time, or was it not considered until we were a lot farther down the road with that?
I don't know the exact details on it. My understanding, it was considered because at one point there was a line item for the OVSD system. The OVSD system is a proprietary software that controls based off of DO, ORP, and
Drive these actuators.
drive these actuators. So that was it. That was part, I do know that the OVSD system was part of the plan. My understanding is it was removed from the project due to cost concerns. And there's an expectation that not using the OVSD system, but in essence, monitoring something close internally, we could probably get nearly the same results for a fraction of the cost. The OVSD system, I think it is outlined in this for just comparisons. It's $189,000 for the software and the associated control.
That's something over 250. The hardware and installation.
Yeah.
And under $10 million project.
I think, I guess to answer your question is my understanding it was likely included and kind of removed from the project for cost savings.
Value engineering has left its mark. Is the design completed for the?
No,
Okay, so there's design time in there.
the design is not complete as far as I know.
Okay.
I've not seen it.
So, but as far as the actuators, is the design complete? For that conduit and,
I don't know. I don't know if there's a definitive design for that, or is it just a back of a napkin back of a napkin drawing where the conduits, is it a single line drawing or is it an actual call out with conduit sizes? I don't know that detail right now.
so this is to get out the 10 to 12 weeks.
No, of course,
Time on the actuators themselves.
4 to 6 weeks on the actuators.
Okay, so obviously, I don't know, design would be, what the status of it is. Could you come back to us with that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Any other questions? All right. In that case, do I have?
I'd like to move for approval, item 10A and B.
Good, Allison?
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, item 11, A, B, and C. Consulting services contract for the preparation of a 2025 climate action effects vulnerability assessment and mitigation plan. Change order number 1 to contract number 2025-08 with Fisher Compliance LLC. Budget adjustment number 2026-11 in the amount of $8,070.
For your consideration is this budget adjustment and change order for Fisher. Fisher was the consulting firm that helped us out with the climate action plan. When I get done, I want to let you guys know that both John Blue and Rich Cunningham, who are online, are from Fisher. I believe Jim Fisher's not able to make it tonight. So we submitted as required, meeting the extended deadline. Regional board came back with a couple of pages of comments for us. I was able to have a series of discussions with Fisher and the regional board, and the intent being to meet the deadline, which is this Friday, the 31st. I think we can do it. To draft a letter report that addresses all their concerns, give that to the regional board. Stephen Webb is the control engineer that works for the regional board. He's agreed to take a look at that letter report. If it meets his concerns, we haven't decided on it. We may be able to just incorporate it into the submitted plan as an appendix, or he may want us to do some administrative work, some clerical work to copy and paste it and get it in there. But what I'm trying to do is give the regional board the information that they need so they can check off their boxes and at the same time take care of our business as efficiently as we can. If you have any questions for either me or Fisher, they're online for consideration.
Appreciate Fisher being present. Do we have any questions, gentlemen?
It's just a comment. It turns out we discussed this at a previous board meeting, actually. And I have to admit I was wrong. I had no idea the regional board was going to ask the level of questions that they had. They asked the water board, ask those kind of questions. I don't particularly see our treatment plant as being susceptible to wind damage. I guess we might as well get into the report. My main question has to do with October 31st. I saw in the letter that you want to have a revised report by the 31st of October. And you think you can get that done?
I won't be able to get a revised report, but I think we can get them an addendum letter report that we submit in as an appendix. And I'm convinced that we can get that done.
Well, my overall impression is that the amount of work the regional or the water board is asking for, $1,000 is pretty.
Looks like largely a paper chase.
It's not like they need new figures too. They want figures showing flow of the water and other things and plan views and stuff. That's gonna take time to generate unless you have it already in hand and you can paste.
Israel Yan and I have already in hand, and we have it ready to submit, but we have some of the expertise that Fisher provides that we don't know. And Fisher can provide that. But the other stuff that's in our court, GPS coordinates, elevations, we've already assembled all of that.
Work.
Good. Have a motion. Excuse me.
Just as a general comment. Their appetite is insatiable.
If they're not generating correspondence, why are they here? I say, if they're not generating correspondence, why are they here?
Just, they'll ask this and next month they'll ask that. It just goes on and on and on. I really wish there was some ability in the group of sewer districts to tell them enough. This stuff has no bearing on anything other than, as you said, checking a box. So you have to spend it. I understand.
Checking a box in the checklist we didn't know existed.
It just gets ridiculous. Anyway,
Perhaps
I
you can,
granted, and now I've been.
perhaps you can, bring that up for discussion at the next CASA meeting.
Yeah, that's good. Whole thing.
All right, do we have a?
What is the staff's shoe size and how exactly will that be affected by climate change? Just, it's almost that ridiculous.
Well, I'll move to approve with A and E.
Let's see.
Let's see. Let's see.
Oh, and C.
Thank goodness. I thought there was going to be some controversy on this.
Second.
Very good.
Director Martinson,
We have to,
Director Pintosh,
Yes.
Director Burke,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
and Chair Oler.
Yes. Thank you, Fisher Compliance gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in.
You are very welcome. You guys have a great evening.
All right, item 12, 2025 spot repair project, post-project reconciliation budget adjustment number 2026-1.
This is a budget adjustment, as noted. There were a couple of change orders that have come through in addition, in excess of the original buffer of $10,000. So they ran into some large rocks that were frankly a surprise because the large rocks were over existing pipe, which meant that someone put the large rocks on top of the pipe years ago, which we normally would not expect. That was one issue.
Excuse me, where was that?
So this is north of Santa Ana. There's an easement that runs through there. So it runs parallel to kind of the extension of Burnham. There's some ranchettes in that area. And so it's running through that ranchette area.
And it was backfilled with rocks, like large rocks?
It's just backfilled with native, which included,
Yeah.
yeah. They didn't go to look for rocks and put them in there. They just didn't.
Just happened to be
Saved
around,
having to
yeah.
haul them away.
Right.
Somebody saved a few dollars.
So so we're looking at the cost of $20,370 for that. Also included a couple other patches of laterals that come into the Burnham line. And there was a city encroachment permit which required a monitor up in the city, even though it's an existing line.
Oh, you mean excavation monitors?
City?
Yeah, it was in the city. There's another pipeline that we're patching that's up in the city.
Oh, that's one of the patches, okay, because this is not, Burnham's not in the city, okay.
No, Burnham's not in the city. It was the patch, and then it was the lion's share of it was an extra $13,000 for the construction management services because of the extra work that we had, extra long time frame, and perhaps some staff shortages too.
The way I thought the report on the changes in the change order was very well done.
Liz,
Have any, whoever the ghostwriter is, did a good.
Liz does terrific work. She set me up for a win on that one. She had that one prepared before she took off for a while.
Or I was impressed.
So let her know.
I'll move approval of 12.
A second?
I'll second that.
Very good, Allison.
Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
Yes.
Director Kurdick.
Yes.
And Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, next item 13 is closed session conference with legal counsel, and I'm going to put that all the way to the tail end of things for a couple of reasons. One of them being there's no legal counsel present with whom to conference. Okay, so at this point, how do we proceed in the absence of our counsel?
I think you can do the information items just so we can have that.
Out of the way? Okay, all right. In that case, we'll move to item number 14, monthly financial reports. Or anything on that? Okay. 15, monthly and quarterly investment report. Receive and file. Staff reports? Anything?
They're all receive and file, so they.
Receive and file. Okay, we have a Ventura River algae TMDL update for those who are algae oriented. We have the City of Ventura 30-day notice draft environmental assessment of state water interconnection project and preliminary findings, no significant impact, which is a relief because I don't know how the city's going to do without that connection. And we have a 19 TMDL plant upgrade project startup operational adjustments and commissioning update. Is there something there? Is there any there, or is that also?
No, I'll say a blurb about that. So the system is it appears to be running as designed at this point. So on an operational basis, we have come off of Micro C 2000 for injection into the TMDL filters, and we're using the Micro C 1000. We've also been changing the sodium bisulfite, which is it's an additive that we use to mitigate the DO fluctuations, the dissolved oxygen fluctuations. what we're finding is with Micro C 1000, we haven't really totally nailed it down with whether sodium bisulfate is needed or not, but we're definitely not seeing the clumps. The clumps are not forming. We don't know if it's a glycerin basis, if it's the GAOs. We don't know the reason, but we do know that the clumps are not forming and we are getting nitrate conversion. So the influent flows coming into the TM filters, coming out of the oxidation ditches, it's running around 2.5 milligrams per liter. By the time it goes through the TMDL filters, we're less than 1 milligram per liter. So what that means for us is in a winter operation, if we're able to maintain this using the oxidation ditches, we should stay within our limit of 4.6 milligrams per liter total nitrogen in the wintertime. And for our summer operation, if everything continues as it is, we ought to stay within our 8,044 pounds for our summer seasonal limit. I did receive some inquiries on whether or not we met the 8,044 pounds this summer. I don't have that exact answer just yet. We're still in the process of running those calcs. I also want to remind folks that this summer was slightly different because we had an interim limit of 7.6 that didn't end until June 28th. Even though our summer limit typically runs May 1st to September 30th, this year our summer limit was June 29th through September 30th. And it's unknown how the regional board is going to think about the poundage. Are they going to prorate it? Are they not going to prorate it? I don't know. Because they have the 8,000 pounds instead of being on over a whole summer, we have a partial summer. I guess in summary, the filters seem to be running well. So we have spent a lot of time and effort on it. The Stantec folks, the Parkson folks, our crews, getting together on a driven meeting every Thursdays, and we've got it down to about 20 minutes, and folks really get the information that they need, can make some decisions, and seems to be running well now.
Quick question. Has any correlation been determined as to their ambient temperatures, climate temperature, being cooling, having on a cooling trend? Is there any correlation?
I don't know. It's possible. I don't know.
We had a little cooler summer this year too.
We did have a little cooler summer. Yep. But there's also some coincident when it comes to like the algae and the clumpy stuff. Actually, I'm even seen it in my personal life where a fountain that I've had for 5 years has never had algae in it, and this year it bloomed out of control. So I don't know if there was something different in the air. No idea.
All right. Yes.
I may have misunderstood, but I thought I detected suggestion in the staff report on this that there might be a change to the 8,044 pounds anticipated. Which would only go down, I'm sure.
So that would be going back to line item 17. I'm sorry, agenda item 17. That was an update on the Ventura River algal TMDL. So the regional board is they're thinking of a change in the river. They don't know what the change is going to be. And I'm happy to give you guys a summary of that too, if you so desire.
It's a good report. I just thought I saw that suggestion, but it was in the other report.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. There? We had a stakeholder group attended by
the add-on nitrate transport model stuff.
That's right. Yeah, that's related to agenda item here.
You put your memorandum on the TMDL startup, very end of the agenda packet. Should I put that up front and center? That was pretty good news to read.
Yeah.
It's still worth experimenting, by the way. Right if it while you have a little bit of leeway in the wintertime.
And that's what we're
a little bit of this, try a little bit of that, see how it reacts.
That's what we're doing right now. So we're also running in using chlorine for a disinfection right now. just to maintain a cushion because we did have an overage. And the staff and I agree with you, is we have some openings right now. There's no forecast rain. And that's exactly what we're doing is making some tweaks here and there to see what happens. Because if, for instance, if we get a spike of nitrite, we can address the nitrate with chlorine. And we're already chlorinating and dechlorinating on the backside anyhow. So that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. Any board member comments? No comments?
I do have one. You know, we normally am quiet during these. But I'm on the board of Myers Oaks Water District. And we have gone through, because of the drought, we went through an allocation program. It was new for us, and it was kind of a trial and error process. And people would get their allocations and they could request a waiver or request an allocation or whatever. We had this process.
Casitas would do that.
We went through this trial and error process of developing, rules and regulations and stuff and how it all works. And where we ended up was when there's something that's fairly routine, our staff can just decide to use our policy to determine the allocations. But occasionally some homeowner or somebody, developer will have some unique conditions that we've never seen before. Then we say those up and have a committee meeting. The question for us is, which committee handles ADUs?
That's the ordinance committee.
The ordinance committee?
Is that what you mean by ordinance related to ADUs or ADU
Ordinances.
applications?
That's the ordinances for ADUs.
Yeah, ordinance committee, that's where it starts.
Committee, and then this
Comes
group.
around.
What I would like to talk about or suggest is, it kind of sets off little alarm bells in my head when I hear that there's an ADU with only 200 square feet. It's $8,000 for a connection fee. I'd like to know how many what their fixture count is.
I think that's probably something that's best to address when Dennis is here, because it directly pertains to potentially discussion on an agenda item, because we have a public hearing on that matter. So I'd probably.
All I'm asking, all I want to discuss right now is putting it on a committee meeting. We don't want to discuss the topic. If the board is agreeable to that.
So you're suggesting that we put it,
We have a committee meeting.
Yeah, but-
agenda
ordinance
meeting
committee meeting,
regarding having
ADUs,
Yeah.
talk about our ADU policy.
Yeah.
See if there's any outliers, anybody who's been disappointed, who's been happy. Maybe it's a good time to just do a review on our ADU policy.
We had a big review 3 or 4 years ago, I think, now.
And that's when we went from 60, everybody was 16,000, even if you had a little
Well,
time.
that and dealing with the proportionality and all of that stuff. We did that 3 or 4 years ago, but it's always worth another look.
That's all I'm suggesting.
there it is.
Okay with that?
Yeah, oh yeah. This. Okay, Scott, any comments, general manager comments? Okay.
Are you just overall general manager comments? Is that what we're doing?
Item 20 on the agenda, so
I'll wrap up a couple of them.
20B to be very specific.
Ventura County Special District Association is having a meeting on November 4th. I'm going to be attending. If anyone would like to join me, let me know. I'll RSVP with you, RSP for you. We can go. I want to give you a quick construction update. So the roofing down at the treatment plant at the Shim building is ostensibly done with the exception of the handrail. The next
Slides too?
No, that's a different building. That's the solids handling building. The solids handling building is forecast to start around November 10th or 12th. They understand that we're off for Veterans Day, but that's what they're shooting for down there. So that's the Skylight building. Fine Screen, their scheduled to work starts on November 17th. That's 100 working days for that project. An update on the consulting easements are in process. And OVSD staff has received a design for the pig receiver. So we pig the line that goes from Orchard Lift Station back up. That's that force main. And we have a design in hand for our review for the pig receiver. That came in late last week. I'm going to give you a quick update on the septic to sewer. The Division of Financial Aid, DFA, has a new control engineer. I attended a handoff meeting on the 17th with the old control engineer and the new control engineer to help facilitate that transition. He's reviewing our applications now. Trustee Lane and North Rice Road are on the fundable list. West Casita Springs is on hold pending placement on the fundable list. I also asked that they consider, which they did, a submittal for technical assistance for public outreach. I'm hoping we can get RCAC. RCAC is an organization that's their root drive is to do public outreach. They can do door to door, they can do mailings, and it alleviates anyone from the district having to do this. And at the same time, I think they have a little bit of an incentive to get people involved. That's on the subject of sewer.
We have 5 projects now instead of 3.
We have 5, right? So
Cedar Springs is
Casita Springs is 3.
projects.
That's right. Casita Springs is 3. So it's West Casita Springs is on hold pending placement. East and Central Casita Springs are still up for consideration at this point. So East and West Casita Springs, there's some concern whether or not the 2022 financial data that the state has is applicable for East and West, and they may want to update it. And frankly, if we get all 3 of the projects right now, it'll be too much for our staff to handle. So I'm okay with those 2 sitting back a little bit at this point. I think if we got all 5 of them, we'd be drowning.
Still no,
Agenda.
yeah, so, do we want to try to proceed with this?
You sure can. It's up to you.
Okay, I'm all right with it. This is item number 9, public hearing for administrative appeal of the Board of Directors pursuant to Ojai Valley Sanitary District Code of Regulations, section 917 at SEC. And this is regarding a property at 812B El Paseo Road in Ojai. Property owner is Todd Berryman and Patricia Berryman, and Mr. Berryman is here. So item number 1, which is hold a public hearing on administrative appeal of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Ordinance 82, determining capacity fees due to a new construction accessory dwelling unit, ADU, in accordance with OVSD Code of Regulations, section 917 in general, section 917.4 in particular, as follows. Okay, so well, no, there's a sequence of events, sequence of steps that start with after I open the meeting, the appellant's opening statement and presentation of appeal. But before do we need to see, before we start, do we need to see, or is it in the packet, the section 917.4, so that everyone have that in front of them, so they understand what the issue of the appellant's appeal is.
So all of the supporting documentation, I believe, is in your packet.
Yes.
Starts on page 85.
I neglected to bring my computer, so we're sharing.
There's one up there, a printed one up there if you'd like it.
Is there?
Yeah.
There's also a hand raised.
Yes, and then don't forget you have a public comment for this item.
Oh, yes, okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:38. And I will have when you say that someone other than Mr. Berryman?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. In that case, then I'd like to hear the public comment that's related to this matter.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. Good evening, Chair and Directors. My name is Rick Vane, and I'm a homeowner in your district who was required to pay a $12,500 capacity fee for my ADU, even though it connects through my existing lateral. The same situation now before you with Mr. Berryman's appeal. The governing statutes are clear. Government Code 65852.2F and the new 66324D enacted through SB 4.3 both state that an ADU using existing utility connection may not be charged a new capacity or connection fees unless it is constructed with a new single-family dwelling. OVSD's continued practice of imposing so-called proportional capacity fees on indirect connections directly conflicts with this law. The 2020 HCD Technical Assistance Letter confirmed that capacity or connection fees may only be charged when a new separate connection is required or mandated. If the ADU uses the same lateral as the primary home and no new connection is required, then there is no legal basis for any capacity fees, proportional or otherwise. While OVSD labels these charges as proportionate, the proportionality test under Government Code 66013 applies only when a new connection exists. Once the connection type is indirect, the statute and the 2025 ADU handbook both bar capacity fees entirely. I urge the board to grant Mr. Berryman's appeal, acknowledge that ADUs using existing laterals cannot be charged capacity fees, and direct staff to bring OVSD policy into alignment with state housing law. Doing so will protect homeowners and uphold the intent of the legislature to eliminate unnecessary financial barriers to ADU housing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, in that
Can I
case,
ask a question?
yeah, certainly.
Several of the commenters tonight have brought up all kinds of rules and regulations. It's entirely possible that from our time 3 years ago that we did this, or 4, whatever it was, that those regulations perhaps have changed or been. So I'm really reluctant to continue this without Ernie being present. I don't know anything about those rules. They've changed. These people are voting.
Well,
You can make the decision, but it just seems to me there's a bunch of things that are being stated as fact that I don't know that are in fact.
I believe this commenter has already brought suit against the district and lost.
Yeah, and that's what I'm very much aware of that it happened. So, like I say, there was something changed in 2025 that occurred after Mr. Vane's court cases, then maybe it's something we need to know about. I'm not current on those rules and regulations. I'm hoping Dennis is, but
One thing that did happen since 3 years ago was that and Scott knows more about this than I do. The state has reorganized. We have a bunch of citations that we used 3 and 4 years ago, and they were scattered in the law in different places. So the state has reorganized them and put them in the more logical order, but the wording has not changed. My understanding.
That's correct. Yeah, it's been reorganized as Government Code 66324. It references 66323 and 66013. What was at one point used was, well,
658.
68, yeah, exactly.
I'll get a consensus how everyone else feels. From my perspective, you have the appellant here. It starts with his opening statement and presentation of appeal. Then it goes to Scott, general manager's opening statement in response to the appeal. It goes back to the appellant for rebuttal. And then it goes back to Scott for the sewer rebuttal. And then there may be questions from the board. There's ample spots entirely along this process where we can stop it if it seems like we're out of our depths. And that's way before we get to our deliberation, which from my perspective, if we feel uncomfortable about doing, we can always, at that point, suspend the hearing,
Continue the hearing.
continue the hearing for another time certain, but in the event we haven't received the support of the attendance of district council. So from my perspective, the process, I think I don't see any harm in proceeding with at least those initial elements of the process.
I'm comfortable as long as we have that option to not render a decision to.
Absolutely,
Go back
yes.
and
No,
review.
that is always an option.
I thought so.
Or
I wanted to make sure.
Would we have to repeat the whole hearing part of it? The next month, can we have the hearing today? And then do the decision next month?
There's the possibility of continuing the hearing itself, which means we would take it up wherever we stopped it.
Oh, I see.
And then, and as far as a determination of, or the deliberation itself, that can be continued and postponed to another time certain when there's plenty of time in my thinking that we have to address, we feel unsure about how to proceed or have questions about how to proceed and when we would actually have Dennis here.
Proceeding.
I would say let's get as much of this out of the way as we can. If Dennis shows up, so much the better.
There it is. Concur?
Yeah, I'll concur. with that.
Okay, how about you, Jack? Jack?
Unmute.
Okay, you're on mute, Jack.
Let's see him.
And we have
It's a very dark room.
and we have a hand up. Is that it?
That's
sorry.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
the
sorry, I'm
speaker.
sorry.
Okay, all right. So it just has a. Jack,
I want to know when the ADU was actually built, what year?
okay.
I think it was this year.
Yeah, that'll come out in the statement, I think, Jack. So we're gonna go ahead and then and turn it over at this point. Mr. Berryman, would you present, please, your opening statement and presentation of your appeal?
Mind if we take like a 5-minute break?
Certainly, we can do that. I'm going to at 6:47, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And I'll adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Need the restroom.
You're good.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back in order after a short break at 6:53. All right, Mr. Berryman, please proceed.
All right. Thank you for hosting me tonight here at this wonderful facility. Appreciate you all taking time out of your schedule to be here. And let me just say in the beginning here, and I said the same thing to Scott when we talked, is that I'm not here to bang on the district. I'm not here to bang on the board. I'm here as a member of the district. We're all members of the district. So I am pro sewer. I was part of the Lower Arbolata Sewer Association project. It went in about 2005. And, so we get a lot of people into the system and, it's just been good for everybody. So we appreciate what you do, appreciate you guys being here. So my thought is that we're here, try and look at this together. I heard you talking about things have changed, things have changed, things are changing. They had the new Senate bill that was passed unanimously in the Senate and signed already by the governor. Senate Bill 543. And it just continues to try and clean up what's been going on. I think just since the state came out and said, okay, we got a housing crisis, and it's been going on. How long has it been going on? It's been going on 30 years at least, right? It's just gotten really to more of a head now. So they come out, well, there's a good solution. ADUs, no fees. Don't have to apply for this. Don't have to apply for that. Can't enforce this, And at the same time, we understand there's a cost of doing business that the district needs to look out for the benefit of the district. So what it comes down in our project, what we did is we didn't just go out and do it as an owner builder.
I've done things before, but I wanted this to be done right. So we went and we contacted Homeplex. Homeplex is a company out of LA, and it's all they do is ADU work. And what they do is put together a whole roadmap for you from the beginning to the end, telling you what you need to do. So it's basically like your plan of what you're going to do. You got to get your plan. This is the legal stuff. This is where you want to do your cutoffs. Cut it off here. You do a project that size, you're going to eliminate a bunch of fees. You don't have to do solar or whatever, And so they're the ones that guide you through the whole project. And they also have a partner, Capital City Permitting, that we use. They're out of Sacramento area because they specialize in the ADU stuff. So that's what we're trying to do. Hire the professionals, hire the experts. So now we got 2 of them on board. So our project goes through and passes through the permitting process in the city. And then we start our project. And of course, again, I'm trying to keep it simple, do it right. We get up when the prefab homes comes in 2 pieces, right? You put it in, you'll get it done quick and clean. They've put these in other places before as ADUs. And so they know what they're doing, right? The company shows up, they give you one price for everything installed and boom, that's it. And they just come in, they take care of it. They have drivers deliver it. They have a contractor on site to do all the installation work, and he does his stuff, but he's working with the city, calling the inspector, making sure everything's good. And so I'm just kind of watching everything, and there's, not much for me to do, which is how I wanted it. I want the professionals to do it. But and all of a sudden we get a notice of violation letter from the district saying we owe, I don't remember the first one, was it? It's like $16,000, Allison? Is that the initial one?
So you would have just gotten a notice of violation until you submit your application and plans. We wouldn't have determined an amount.
Okay, so we get a notice of violation on hooking into a pre-existing lateral, which, was probably within 10 feet of the project. And I'm thinking, this doesn't seem right. So I call Ari at Homeplex and I send stuff to him. And he goes, no, they're treating it like new construction. You can't do that. Okay. And, over the course of time, he comes out to look at stuff too, because he likes to check on things, and brings a friend out named Tim, and I cannot remember his last name, but he is the head of the Casita Coalition. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but basically the same thing, ADU experts. They do this stuff all the time, everywhere. And Tim's background is a lot in building codes and, doing things, writing codes and writing things to make things work, because like we've seen in the ADU thing, everything gets dumped out by the state and legislation. People are coming to you, you're going to them, you're saying you can't do that, or saying, yes, we can. And it's just a continual thing. I know you guys have been battling this. There's a lot of history there. So Tim looked at it from the ADU perspective and the building perspective. And, he's actually written some legislation, written some code stuff to get things cleaned up, and worked with the state. And in fact, in SB 543, he wrote a letter to the state, from Casita Coalition saying, hey, we support this legislation. And I know you were saying 543 is the same. It doesn't change anything. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
You were saying that 543 just leaves everything the same and it doesn't change it? Is that your position? Is it?
Well, no, I said that we
don't have to go this technical. Why don't we avoid that one for now? Because that might go over your edge on the technical portion of it. Let me get a couple other questions in for Scott that I can't ask him because it was something we talked about in our thing. We talked about this process where we don't know anything about the sanitation district needing to come in until we get the notice of violation. And we're like, what's this? The building's here, it's all bolted together, getting the foundation all set up. And so I talked to Scott about it. He says, yeah, I don't know. And I talked to the city about it. They go, yeah, we don't notify the sanitation company. I was like, well, why not? Get your permit, put a couple boxes on there that says, hey, are you hooking into sewer or are you on a septic system? Hooking up on a sewer system, check the box. Right below there, okay, if you check this box, Contact the sanitation district, this phone number. It's that simple. And I know you went down and talked to him, but I didn't hear anything back on any progress on that. What did you get?
When my time comes up, I'll give you, I don't want to, I'm happy to comment on it.
Okay. Okay. So basically, some of the stuff that's come out, we've already talked about the code numbers and everybody kind of knows it. I don't want to go into these details. I just want to say that the process needs to change. Number one, Scott and I have talked about that. And that needs to get fixed between you guys and the planning division over there. And so that's one item. The other thing is the fees, and the fees being proportional. And I don't believe that the fees are proportional, because Scott and I talked, there's two ways to do it. We can do the fixture count, which always seems to put the district on the side of getting these large fees, even on smaller units. Mine's 741 square feet. It's not as small as his, but you see a lot more. There's one down the street, 3 houses away from me, just went in, it was 800 square feet. So a lot of them go that way, or they go larger. Our intent is to try and provide some housing for working class folks, whether they be, teachers or janitors or, firemen or policemen or anybody else, somebody that works for the district, somebody who works for the city. So that's what we're trying to provide out. I got all this stuff here. Like I said, I'm not going to go into all these details because it's in my other written stuff. You guys can read through that. We don't need to pound that stuff, but everything back from, something from 2020 with Jeff Palmer and the ADU connections and what's required. And I think also that it's not like you sit here and go, oh, the district's doing this. Well, it's not just a district. I know you guys worked with HCD. I read all that stuff. I know that you guys put together something, and it was supposed to be an agreement enforced for your code 82. And, but I don't believe that they have had everything correct. I believe HCD is completely understood, but I think this last thing that came out from the legislature, 543, and then there's some other ones in there too. I don't remember all the numbers, but it says in there that it talks about that you can have a detached ADU, and if it's required to have a new connection to the sewer main in the street, then you can look at your fees, your proportionality fees. If you're building an ADU that's just tying into an existing line, that you cannot charge those fees. And that's my thing there too, is because I look at it on two sides. I'm over here saying, okay, this is great. I'm the owner builder. These guys, they can't charge me these fees. But then I'm over here too as a member of the district saying, hey, that's not right for the district either, because we are putting more stuff in the system. We are using the system a little more, but there's got to be a better way to do it. There's got to be, some way of saying, hey, this is a reasonable fee for an ADU. Because my fee is like, I don't know, it's $12,000 some odd dollars. Allison, is that correct? Somewhere around there?
I don't recall it being that much.
Yeah,
11
something plus the fee. So I think we just put it over 12,000 with the plan check.
$1,076.75.
Right. So look at that. And it talks in there about the proportionality can either be done. And this is just an example too. Proportionality can be done by counting the fixtures. And this is the old stuff. It can be done by counting the fixtures or by square footage. So if I take a look at my project, fixture count, you see the price, right? Which is just about what it was for my main house, because the fixture counts are pretty close.
Thirds.
Yeah, right. But you do square footage, my main house is 2,950 square feet. So that makes the ADU about a quarter of that. So my fees would be about 25%. So I'm not saying this is right or this is right. I know this is wrong. This one feels kind of good, but it's the low end. Is that acceptable? Is that going to, allow the district to continue to operate in a good manner and take care of stuff? I don't know. I don't have those, maybe Scott does. He's the main guy here, or you guys do, but there's gotta be something where we look at it. There's gotta be something where we work together on this and not just build a wall or put up a fence or I'm just doing this or I'm just doing that. I used to work for the fire department and like shift changes 8 o'clock in the morning. You sit down, new shift's coming on, the old shift's going off. And we sit at the coffee table. Everyone sits down with a cup of coffee in the morning and we solve all the world's problems. So to me, that's the best way to do it. That's what I know. That's what works. And I think that's a good way to go. It is good to have some legal counsel in here. I don't want to go down that road tonight because I got my brain's half melted from all the stuff I've been reading on this and all the legal jargon and the case with Mr. Vane. But I do agree with Mr. Vane's interpretation, the way things are. And 543, let me look here, get my glasses on first.
A Senate bill or an Assembly bill?
That was a Senate bill, 543, and it's actually been chaptered in as 520, I believe. So basically, like it comes down here at the end. And I only have a couple pages here on a summary, and this list, by the way, comes from Ari Gotti, who's the owner and CEO of Homeplex. And so he just sent me some information here, said it was approved and signed by the governor. And again, in the Senate, it was approved unanimously. So they're trying to say, look, you got to clean this up. This is our intent. Okay. So I urge you all to look at the new legislation. It says it was approved and likely goes into effect January 1, 2026. Excuse me. So it's housing and development projects, preliminary applications, accessory dwelling units, and junior accessory dwelling units. Again, just cleaning up is what they're doing. And again, I know it's been back and forth and you guys have been doing it way more than I have. I just got involved since I started my ADU project. It talks about fees being charged for the junior accessory dwelling units, being determined in accordance with Chapter 5. And I'm not going to go through all this here because I get down to where it affects my project, which is a detached ADU. Talks about local agencies, special districts, or water corporations shall not impose impact fees upon the development of an accessory dwelling unit that has 750 square feet of interior livable space or less. Any impact fees charged for an accessory dwelling unit that is more than 750 square feet of interior livable space shall be charged proportionately in relation to the square footage of the primary dwelling unit, not fixtures.
Impact fees.
Right. But think about it this way, though. I mean, when I'm building this thing, everything's an impact fee. So I understand you guys are calling it something else.
That's a legal term.
It is. It is. So, and this, I'll just keep going here, though, but just showing you the intent, because I believe the spirit and the intent that the state legislature was trying to put out is where this thing is going. They talk about the definition of fees does not include any connection fee or capacity charged by a local agency, special district, or water corporation. That's 66477. Okay. And then what they come down to here towards the end is they go, anything that contains less than 500 square feet of space shall be considered other residential construction that does not increase accessible space by 500 square feet. So again, everything is leaning towards, hey, we got to do something with the ADUs. We know the housing crisis is bad. My opinion, my belief is that the current existing structure and how the fees are developed is not correct, and that they are a barrier to building ADUs. And I'm not the only one with that opinion. I've been down at the city. I met with the planning director and we talked about stuff. And it's pretty obvious when that's the largest fee by far of any of the fees that you're gonna do, build an ADU, that it is a barrier for people, especially in the smaller lots. I mean, I was pretty lucky. I got an acre. So I got some room to spread out. But smaller lots have to build smaller things, yet they're really getting hammered, you know? Square footage one seems more appropriate to me because it kind of fits all the pictures. Says here, section 66323, local agency or special district or water corporation shall not require the applicant to install a new or separate utility connection directly between the unit and the utility, or impose a related connection fee or capacity charge unless the unit was constructed with new single-family dwelling or upon separate conveyance of the accessory dwelling unit pursuant to section 66342. So what they're saying there to me is, hey, if basically there's two ways you can hit them with the fees. You can hit an ADU with the fees. Is they're building it with a new home, so they're built concurrently and they're both going in on the system. Or he's building a separate one, but because of the way the project is, he's being required that he has to put in a separate lateral connection into the line in the street. So it's my understanding that you can have some fees for that too, and charges. So what those are or what they should be, I don't believe they should be what they are right now. I know that. And I don't think the state intends them to be that way. If you go through the new stuff that's coming out, like I said, there's more than just this. And this is just a brief summary of some of the stuff that's in there. Encourage you all to read it. Like I said, I got opinions from Homeplex, from Casita Coalition, Planning Department, myself, the other gentleman that's here tonight. Fees are exorbitant. They are a barrier. You cannot charge any fees that are exorbitant or a barrier to the ADU program. And that's pretty much the bottom line for us. So are we good with that? Any comments or questions?
Oh, we're not supposed to comment on it. We're supposed to hear it.
Okay.
We're supposed to listen to what our presentation is, and
Okay.
are you complete for now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the opening statement and presentation of Mr. Berryman. And then we let's get the general manager's opening statement in response to the appeal. That would be from Scott.
Great, thank you.
Please proceed.
Thanks, Todd.
Sure.
Yeah, Todd and I met. We had a very interesting conversation. I'd like to address the process first. I agree with Mr. Berryman that there could be improvement for transparency from the city. Applicants know that OVSD does exist and does have capacity charges. I reached out and had a meeting with the planning department over there and discussed that. My ask from them was if they could mimic what the county does. So if an applicant in the county goes to pull a permit for an ADU, on the county checklist is for the applicant to go get a will serve letter from the sewer provider. And that really alleviates a lot of the surprise at the end of the project. So people can pencil it in, they can do the calculations ahead of time. So that's part of the process. It's not part of the argument, but it's a solution going in the right direction. I agree that we do need to get to a better solution. So thank you for that. Regarding Mr. Berrien's application, the way I came to my conclusions is first I reviewed district code and then went and reviewed government 66324 with its references, 66323, 66013. And I even went so back as to review what Allison had mentioned, which was the predecessor, government code 65852.2. I'm not a lawyer, but my interpretation is district code does not conflict with any of those particular codes, at which point I progressed on in our code of regulations, which is on page 113 of your agenda or of your packet. And that's to go through and say, how do these codes and assessments affect district. So I mean, the first question we ask is Mr. Berryman exempt? Is it a ADU, which it's not? Is it a new construction that's separate, detached? Yes, it is. Is it a conversion of an existing structure? No, it is not. Was it an interior located in an existing residential dwelling? No, it's not. So when I went through all of those, I find per section 301.4 of ordinance 182, it's part of our code now, that particular construction is not exempt. At which point you go in and look at how does it get charged for the capacity charges proportionally. It's very explicit. The capacity charges get charged based off of drainage fixture units. Staff had already gone out, or not gone out, but staff had already looked at his application, Mr. Berryman's application. We knew that it was 17 drainage fixture units, and he was assessed a prorated fee compared to 25 drainage fixture units, which are what we assigned for a single family resident here in OVSD's jurisdiction. With that, it came to the conclusion that fees that were assessed were appropriate and proportional. I understood Mr. Berryman's concern on the square footage. I appreciate it. I think it would be us to have a single in this particular one. It does, this instance, it does work against Mr. Berryman. The other ones that go the other directions. If you were to ask me as a civil engineer, is a fixture unit or square footage more appropriate for disseminating capacity charges for a sewer system? I would tend to go with drainage fixture units are probably a better proportionate measure than square footage when it comes to a sewer system. That's it for my first comments.
Next is item D, then rebuttal from the appellant. Mr. Berryman, would you like to present your rebuttal?
Sure. For the fees, again, I'm not saying that it's just the sanitation district that is interpreting this stuff wrong. I've been in contact with HCD myself, and I don't believe, and I know you guys work with them and you came up with your standards and your codes for the calculations, and that you had a paragraph that was added later that was any connection to sewer to our system, whether through private, direct or indirect and all that stuff, which captures my unit. And again, I don't believe that's what the state intended. And I'm from a member of the district's perspective, I'm concerned about future litigation because I've been following this and I see what's going on. And then the state comes out and does this, and boom, they vote unanimously to approve this. And the governor signs it, and it's coming out here effective in January. I think it's going to change some things, and I think it will change them rightly. And just my thing is, if you're going to continue to use the fixture count with that formula to produce that high of a fee, it leaves the district open for potential litigation. If we have, I know you mentioned you have a committee, if there's people working on something and saying, yeah, we are way overhead on this, there's no other entities that we can find that charge anything close to this, then, there has to be some type of halfway point or meeting point somewhere between the 12,000 or the square footage one. But continue to charge the high count, it doesn't work. And then the other thing that we were hit on too was the connection fees for the main line, the line in the street, and local lines. Is that right, Allison? Okay. And again, we joined part of the Lower Arbor Lot Sewer Association. So it's a group of homeowners. Are you guys all familiar with that? Were you all on board at that time? So, you know, as a group of homeowners, lot owners got together, got all the easements to tie into the main trunk on Del Norte, bringing it across private properties to El Paseo, bringing it up El Paseo, and then up Sierra a little ways and a little further down El Paseo for the beginning. And then other property owners have bought in on that system too. So again, I'm pro sewer. I want to see that happen, but that was paid for. All that was paid for by us, and then gifted, or for lack of a better term, turned over to the district. And now, to me, I feel like on those fees, we're being double charged. Okay, that's something I think needs to be looked at, investigated well. Separate entity, separate thing. And then as far as, you know, again, getting back to the codes and ordinances of doing things, and I just think it's changing so much. I know where you guys sit now. I know what the regulation is. I know what the fees are. I don't believe it's correct. I don't believe the interpretation is correct, and I think that's why the state has to come back. So I think we do it for the time when the state and HCD says, hey, this is what we're doing. Okay, well, this is what we got to do. And then people are doing it, and it's like anything else. You know, this just doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. We keep getting, and it's like, hey, time out. We got to get together and talk about this. This isn't right. We go back, gets back to the legislature. Legislature says, yeah, it's not right. This is what we should be doing. And they put it into the new law to clean things up. And I think that's where it's going. And I feel like that's where we're at. I don't think that our chart should have been interpreted the way it was. Okay. That's it's about everything in a nutshell.
Okay, very good. I'll take, before it goes back to you, Scott, I'm going to acknowledge that Dennis is with us. Is that correct, Dennis?
Mute.
Are you on mute, Dennis?
You're live, Dennis.
It's not a
Let's proceed.
viable of a connection. Okay, Scott, sewer rebuttal?
Yes, Sir Rebel, I think one of the things that we can do to kind of better understand this is not muddle the difference between impact fees, connection fees, and capacity charges. It's very explicit in both state code and also findings that impact fees differ from special district connection fees and capacity charges. Impact fees are assessed as a condition of permit. They're assessed based on a rate schedule on a type of development and a general location. An example of an impact fee would be a traffic impact fee that could be prorated based off of a commercial development and its location on a specific, within a location within a county. Connection fees are assessed to cover the physical cost of connecting to the utility. An example of a connection fee would be the connection fee for a water meter. And that connection fee would cover the cost of sending a crew out. It would cover the cost of the water meter itself. It would cover the cost of them excavating the hole, installing it, bolting it up, giving it a check. Over. What we're talking about is capacity charges. Capacity charges are based on specific attributes of the impact of a project. So in our particular instance, we're talking about drainage fixture units that are being added to a facility, which are going to cause or are likely to cause increased flow through the local sewer system, through the trunk sewer system, and down into the treatment system. So those are the capacity charges. So I guess where I'm going with the whole thing is, as we dive into this, it is important to understand the difference between impact fees, connection fees, and capacity charges. The issue that we're talking about right now is capacity charges with OVSD and Mr. Berryman. The other question that comes up is the existing lateral versus new construction. When I look at the code, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'll have to have the lawyers weigh in it. But when I look at the code, it may be tied into sections 66324, paragraph E, where there's two separate sentences. Sentence one is, for an accessory dwelling unit that is not described in paragraph 1 of subdivision A of 66323, that's the exemptions. So that would be your JADU, your conversion of an existing structure, an ADU within an existing building.
Correct.
A local agency, special district, or water corporation may require a new or separate utility connection directly between the accessory dwelling unit and the utility. So what that's telling me is that the special district or water corporation doesn't have to require a separate or a new connection to the main line. Second sentence is consistent with section 66013. The connection may be subject to a connection fee or capacity charge that shall be proportionate to the burden of the proposed accessory dwelling unit based on either square footage or the number of drainage fixture unit values as defined in the plumbing code. It continues on to reference also international plumbing. What's notable about the second sentence is that it says the connection. It doesn't say the new separate utility connection. It doesn't say a new connection. It just simply says the connection. My reading of it is that we're talking two different things from within the code. One says that the utility may require a new separate connection, full stop. The second one says that connection may be subject to a capacity fee, a connection fee, or a capacity charge. Again, in my review of the code of OVSD, I stand with my findings.
All right, I'll inquire here. Can you hear any of this, Dennis?
Yes, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. Just to bring you up to speed, we've conducted the public hearing on the off chance that you would be able to
Yeah, I was able to hear. Yes.
Okay.
I was
jump in.
monitoring.
At this point, we've gone through the appellant's presentations, both of them, as well as the
Can you bring the
managers.
piece of that cake?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Okay, as well as the general manager's presentations, and we're at the point F, questions of inquiry or inquiry of by board of directors to both the appellant and the general manager. So at this point, we're ready to ask any questions. Is there anything from what you've heard that you would need to weigh in on?
No, I think Scott, covered it quite well, actually, which is impressive given that this, this ADU code is not, I'll admit, a model of clarity. On top of it all, it was recodified and moved around. But I'll just add that section OVSD 82 does comply with the current code. It takes a careful reading. I heard some discussion about, impact fees and things like that, which is not even an issue here. So it's easy to get sidetracked. It's important to carefully read, the type of fees we're talking about, which are capacity charges. And those are authorized under the code. And, using a fixture count as opposed to square footage is also perfectly allowable under the code. So, I just reiterate that OVSD 82 does comply with the code, and I concur with Scott that the charges were appropriately administered.
I have two questions for you. If you actually, I have one question. Perhaps you recollect, Allison, or members of the board. I believe we're asked to make a determination regarding the option or determination of those charges, fixture units versus square footage. I think we opted specifically to go with fixture units. That's what's in the code. Is that accurate?
I think so. Fixture units are what generate the required amount of system capacity.
Correct.
Square footage does not.
It's a
You could have 6 bedroom units as opposed to 2 without changing your fixture count.
That's number one. And then number two, Dennis, are you aware of if the revised section of the state code has been subject to any litigation that has produced any further clarification or current clarification?
No, I'm not aware of any challenges yet. I mean, it's still relatively new that you know that may be coming, but not aware of anything.
Okay, all right. We have questions. Okay, and to whom is it directed?
Your ADU is 741 square feet, is that what you said?
Correct.
One thing. That was the question I had. So I remember, as you did, that we had a choice between square footage and fixture units. There was, either option was allowable. What I don't remember is if we could pick and choose case by case basis which we wanted to use. I think what we had to do was choose one, put that in our regulations.
One in the regulation.
Yes,
That's what we did.
and that's what we fixed with the fixture units,
Right.
yes.
I do remember that. The 750 square foot, there was something about a 750 square foot limit as to what could be charged and not be charged, and I don't remember the details around that.
It has to do with the impact fee.
And that was the impact fees, but not the connection or
Yeah,
the
that's
Right.
not
capacity
the
charge.
issue before us in this appeal.
That's the part of the rules I would like to review to make sure that I understand how that works, but
So
I do remember that if it was a conversion of a garage or something like that, you couldn't charge anything.
Yeah, that's 301.4 in our
It strikes me that the problem we're facing is, in this case, I believe you said you had an acre, right? You're building one ADU. But you could build 10 if you wanted to.
Unless it's not
in the city.
Unless it's been zoned that way.
Well, let's say you get the zoning.
The,
Here's what I'm thinking, just the practicality of it. I've got a house, build an ADU. This house has a line to the sewer system, which has already paid its connection fees and all that. And so what we do is we run the line from the new ADU to this one and say,
we're not talking about connection fees. We're talking about capacity.
I'm just talking about
The house has a connection,
I'm just talking about the
and
mechanics of where the pipe goes.
charged a capacity charge,
I'm just talking about where
not a
the
connection fee.
not fees, just where the pipe goes.
check out page 167. It has a site plan for his residence.
And I
in the
can see
sewer line.
that. And so the question is, if you were running pipe, we could have required a separate pipe. There's nothing in those rules that say how we make that determination, whether a separate one is used or not. Just physically how you run the pipe. And so if someone were to build, having all the permits, 7 of these, and they all run them to that first tie-in, it kind of defeats the purpose of.
You're looking at two different zoning issues here
I
because
understand.
single family residence there, so we do one ADU. If you have multifamily residential zoning, like they're talking.
But that's a whole different.
You could add like 10 ADUs, I believe is what they were talking about. One of the things I was reading, but I'm not really locking that in because it doesn't concern me. My concern is that you have these fees that are being charged, it shouldn't be charged because it's not required to put another line. And if you were to require my project to put in another connection to the street, then that goes against what the state's trying to do too. Because again, the spirit, I keep hearing about, well, we can charge this because it says that. We can do this because it says that. Does that make it right? Maybe yes, maybe no. In my court, it says no. But the thing is, the spirit and the intent of the ADU laws in the legislature, stuff that they're putting out is, hey, ADUs have shown to be a good solution for our housing issues. They call it the crisis. I don't like that word, but housing issues. And doing that and doing it properly, that we're going to build a better community. We're going to build, better systems out there. And you know, everything needs to be proportional though. You can't just come out and just throw this stuff at it because they've already said, you know, hey, you put these in and it's going to be a ministerial approval. It's not going to be something where it has to go through all these plan checks. We waive that, we waive this. You can be, you know, 4 feet off the line for a pre-existing building. I mean, think about all the stuff that they put out. None of it says, hey, you're going to charge them this much money because you can. Nothing says that. You guys had the option at one point, and you know, like when I was talking to Scott, I thought, hey, you know, somewhere in between makes sense to me between square footage and current fees. But not this, and maybe not that either.
But so what we have to do is work with the law as it is, not how we think it should be or want it to be. Dennis, when we had our discussions with Mr. Vane in the courts, were the facts of that case substantially different than the appeal before us now, or was it basically the same issue?
I believe Mr. Vane was more focused on invalidating our whole OVSD ordinance 82 and was unsuccessful despite trying several times to do that.
I think he also had to put in his own, put in a separate connection, separate lateral.
He did not.
Okay. It must have been another project.
His piping is the same as yours. General form.
Have any other questions?
Well, as I have gone back, every staff knows this. When a piece of state law is cited anywhere in one of our packets, go back and read it. I also spent 2016 to 24 on the City of Ojai Planning Commission. So I know the planning director well. I've asked him about how they do things. People come to the desk. And he told me, and this is within the week, said, you tell everyone who comes in, get a building permit, that you need to talk to all of the utilities in the area. It will serve letters and discuss fees with them because the city has nothing to do with electric, water, gas, or sewer. So if I take his statement at face value, somebody, Ida or Sherry, Lucas or Maura, maybe or Brian, one of those folks in the planning department, informed you that you needed to talk to the sewer district.
I didn't go down and remember. I hired the Capital City guys to handle the permitting process because they're out of Sacramento and they deal with these ADU projects.
So they talked to the city. You did not.
To the city. They should have, but they should, same thing. They should have got some type of.
They should have told you.
They didn't. They had no idea.
They should have told you. The other thing is, as I have read, not just our ordinance, but the various sections of the government code, state code, they constantly talk almost as though connection fees and capacity charges are the same thing because the two nomenclatures continually appear together in various sections of the code. The fact is the district does not charge connection fees. It charges capacity charging. And from that point of view, square footage is not relevant. It's what load are you putting on the district's system? And so square footage is just not relevant. It has nothing to do with capacity. What does have to do with capacity is fixture units. How many toilets, how many showers, how many sinks, whatever. That's what load on the system. And that is the basis by which the district decides what the charge should be. Now, you could object to the standard, which is the 25 DFUs house. And then the proportionality there, DFUs versus a house. I think the proportionality is right. You want to argue about the overall fee, that's a whole different argument. I have to live with the DFU proportionality, and I hope we can all agree that what we're talking about here is a capacity charge, not a connection fee, not an impact fee.
I understand that. I understand. I was just, basically, I'm not saying everything's an impact fee, because when you're building something, everything's an impact fee.
Everything is an
So
impact.
The hardware store, oh God, they didn't have these, but that's just how it goes. But I understand the difference. I know what you're talking about. I just feel like when we put in that whole project, tying in over to the front line on Del Norte, that we given all that to the district. And that.
Yes, that's a different part of the law that says the district is not allowed to just willy-nilly build more sewer mains, service people, and charge that off to existing ratepayers. We had a case 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. A gentleman who lived on Yama between Del Norte and Highway 33, long stretch, only a little part of which is actually in the city. It's all in the sewer district. Needed a 500-foot extension from 5 points, from the 33 Cuyama El Roblar intersection to where he could switch over from septic to sewer. At that time, and I'm sure the numbers have changed, because that was a number of years ago, cost $100 a foot in that new main. So he paid, and it was 500 feet. So he put up $50,000, had people do the construction, district standards, and then ceded it to the district. From there, it was now district property, and capacity charges applied to anyone along that 500 feet who decided they wanted, now that there's a sewer, I want to connect to it.
It's the same as the project we did. Any other people that tie into it other than the original?
I wish all the people in the Arbolata north of you had done something like that, because
Every time it rains, we think about that.
it's downhill and you're at the bottom of the hill, and that's a bad thing. But I don't see anything here of dispute other than whether a charge of any sort is an impediment to building affordable housing. And I would agree with you that a charge of any size whatsoever is an impediment.
It can be.
The question is this charge legal?
I mean, that's a very narrow scope to look at it, and I understand that you need to do that too, but I think we all need to look at the big picture here, because this is coming down Sacramento. This is not something that was here and local people said, hey, we got to do this. No, coming from up there. So we got to broaden the scope here and say, look around and say, okay, what's going on? Are we doing the right thing? Is this the fair amount to charge? Can we use that formula, be more proportional to what the project is? And I'm just saying, modification of how that formula spits out that amount of dollars, because that's way too much from my perspective. I'm not Scott, he's the mind behind systems. So anyway, that's what I've seen. Like I say, and then I talked to professionals. I didn't just come in here. I talked to Ari Gotti, owner of Homeplex. Talked to Tim, the owner of Casita Coalition. Was down talking with the planning director, probably right after you were there, because he mentioned you. He said, yes. He said somebody was going to be filling their fees. And I go, yeah, that's me. So, anyway, so I knew you were going over that stuff. I just didn't hear anything back yet. But, like I said, we need the fees too high, bottom line. think it needs to be reviewed. I think it needs to be looked at. I think that it's a clear intent from the state, especially with the latest legislation coming down. I think that as a member of the district, we need to be proactive on this thing. We need to get ahead of it. Because if we go behind, we know what happens. You end up in court and HCD and going back and forth. Be proactive, be in front of it, get out there and get some professional opinion. But also, definitely, you guys have requirement to look at it from a legal standpoint. Understand that.
As the law changes, if it impacts our code of ordinances, then we have to change because we have to stay legal.
Oh, yeah.
Question there.
I think really the thing is, I don't think it's being interpreted properly the way Scott read it. I think our interpretation, feedback I'm getting from the other members that play in the ADU field is that it's being treated as new construction. You can't, the new lateral is not required, cannot charge capacity for that. I don't think you should get zero. I don't agree with that. But something needs to be figured out between that and the $12,000 fee. That's my thing.
A question. Exhibit 5 appears to be your email of June 28, 2025. 10 pages more or less, at least, yeah, 10 sheets. Is that the extent of your hard copy exhibits submitted in support of the?
At this time, yes. But I can, you guys.
Is there somewhere in this 10 pages where you cite the specific statute or basing your upon?
Honestly, I can't respond to that because since I wrote that and sent it, I really haven't reviewed it that much. So I just kind of knew in general where I was going, what we wanted to do. So I can't respond to that.
Right. Yeah, because I can't seem to find it. And if you're asserting at section of the California code, then I would expect to see it so I could understand argument based upon it. This has a lot of requests from the district to provide a lot of this information. That's requested, I don't see as particularly relevant. Your argument without citing code section undergirds and supports your argument. I would like to, now I'm going to have to do some research as well to see what it's in fact saying. But I have to point out that the questions that I asked of the district council seems to indicate that new reconfiguration of the previous legislation that has been reconfigured a number of times. I recall, as a matter of fact, a past district council making sort of a chiding our legislators for producing bills in order to codify those bills required several iterations of the bills and as well as several iterations of the code and over a period of years. So it's still evolving apparently. I'm not so.
Which just, and that's the evolution, and that's why Ari sent me that summary, because he's on top of that stuff, and he says, look, this is what it's supposed to be, and they talk about it being square footage.
Right, but that's his.
That's in the code.
Okay, but that's his interpretation of the code, and that two things. One, as a district, we're not going to be out ahead of things. Typically speaking, we work with what would be characterized as settled law that we base our ordinances upon. So if anything, we're a little on the trailing side. And number two, we rely upon the legal interpretations, guidance, and clarifications of our legal, our district council, and that informs quite a bit of how we look at things, how we respond to things, and also how we apply and generate our ordinances as well as apply our ordinances. So the knowledge that, of course, it's still a work in progress, so to speak, from a legislative perspective, is pretty much unknown. And because it's already been in this process, I'm going to say, what, 7 years, maybe at this point, 2015, 2016?
Probably before then, I think it was like 2009 or 10.
Okay, yeah.
Coming out.
I mean, it's still, and some things have been clear. Some things are very clear and they're not subject to dispute. This unfortunately seems to be in that gray area where you're asserting, and I'm hearing you, and also I'm reading from your exhibit, that there's a should and a could element. But I'm not seeing, or at least you didn't submit here, code that supports is.
Must.
Well, yeah, but the is becomes must, and then or shall, and then once we see must and shall, usually pretty clear.
I mean, and let's just all agree the legislation's living documents. It's constantly being looked at, constantly being changed.
Legislation and legislative intent to it, it's constantly changing based on who's
It's true.
excuse me, what.
I also read his 11-page email, looking very carefully, I read it very carefully. Find any place where he cited a law, he would be in violation of it. I couldn't really, except a little bit about him.
So I might suggest you do look at what you produced here, and that you look at it from the narrow perspective of what is the current code, what is the current law, a Senate bill or an Assembly bill, because until it's codified, they have no force and effect. The governor signs them, and then there's a process where it becomes codified.
This is codified. It's
And that's what I'm looking for.
520 state statutes.
Well, that's not a
That because this,
number that would be.
that was written before I got this from Ari.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask then is go back and look at what you need to look at, and then submit something that is clear. As far as you citing sections of the code in support of your argument. Okay, I think that seem reasonable. I mean, at this point, not seeing it as important to me, I can't really, without that, I don't feel I'm being fair to you. You don't do this all the time.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. It's like he said, I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, exactly. So let's perhaps resubmit it to the district so we can take another look at it before we make a determination that you might not like. So
I appreciate that.
is that okay, Dennis?
Yeah, are we talking about now continuing this hearing on to another date?
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting, yes.
That's well within your discretion to do that if the board wishes to do that.
Do I have concurrence from the rest of the
I
board?
concur. I think we have to do it. We're just hearing stuff. It's he said, she said.
Yeah.
I fully consider it. You're right.
It's important to me. He's making an argument about legislative intent, and I recall having sat at this. I was over there somewhere.
Over here. You're over there.
Saying the same thing. And our former counsel was telling me I didn't know what I was talking about. I was talking about the legislative intent and the evolution of this code section. Because it already, at the point, 2017, it had evolved already at least 3 times that I knew of.
I can do that, and I can do it on the new stuff too, because I had the code sections from Ari.
And my suggestion on it is you don't need to cite and justify. All it is cite so we can understand what your code section and you're supporting your argument. And then we can take another look at that at a later meeting. And at this point,
Want to do a date certain?
if you can you do one at this time?
I think it's more kind of certain Mr. Berryman support.
Well, yeah, but what I'm suggesting should not be more than a 1 or 2 page submittal. It's not, I'm not looking for legal brief and arguments.
Our next meeting is Monday before Thanksgiving,
Before.
the 4th.
Basically a month.
I have to go home and check the.
Let me know.
Well, you
I will get.
can let Allison know if you can't make that, then we'll continue it further.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I know, Steve, you were gonna say something or up here with.
I always defer to the chair.
Right, so I know.
He's the chair defer.
So did you have
In chair, and I appreciated it when people deferred to me.
We get defer.
I'm a member of the fan club out here, so it's referring to you.
Okay, no. I may have misunderstood all of your argument, but I think we all agree that what we're talking about is, first of all, capacity charges only, not connection fees or impact fees. And we're talking about proportionality. Could it be done on the basis of fixture units or on the basis of square footage of a new thing?
Yeah.
We all agree that the structure that you have now put on your property is not a conversion, it's a new build. So whatever fees might be charged
That's,
are not, you're not exempted from that.
that's, okay. No, I understand what you're saying, and my belief is that the way the code has been interpreted, and I'm not saying just by Scott put out here, I've read that stuff, I see what he sees. Oh, my dad was a civil engineer, so I understand your language. So, I understand that part. I don't think it's correct because of the opinions and feedback I'm getting from professionals in the field, including people that have written code and legislation, for the ADU programs. So I think that's what's happened now is it's gone over here. And some agencies have created other words for their fees so they could keep going and stay in business, because they can't just take zero fees. And, they're saying, no, you can't do that. And that's not where anyone wants to be, because if the sewer district goes upside down, we're part of it, man. We get a serious problem too. So we can just work together.
I have actually one other quick question for Scott. Is there any issue with the manner in which the ADU is tied into existing lateral?
Well, it's not that I know of. The lateral is not our lateral, so the sewer main is ours.
PSL.
Exactly. So the lateral, I don't know of anything with the lateral, but I also haven't gone
And do you know what size the lateral is at the tie-in to the main in the street?
No, I don't. It's whatever was put in. LASA did the project. I know it was a pretty big line. I'm thinking the 8-inch, would that be a standard lateral?
No.
Oh, no.
6-inch?
usually four
Or maybe
four.
It's at least a 4.
6.
4 or 6 usually.
Yeah, it would be
Mine's 4.
unusual if it were anything larger than 6.
My guess would be
Smaller than 4.
That's right.
Having said that, how long have you owned the property?
No, we bought it December of 99.
And typically speaking, the absence of a sale, isn't there some requirement to camera it or every 10 years?
No, it's a sale or transfer of property to a non-family member. Construction exceeding $25,000 in value. Or other, it doesn't apply here. So technically speaking, yes, there should be a sale request.
Actually, it doesn't sound technical to that sounds like.
It is, yes.
Okay, so you understand what, because that was my understanding is there was, you have under an ordinance with the district that kind of ensures that people maintain their laterals, their private sewer lateral, which obviously extends from their property out to the main and the street. The concept behind it is that protects the homeowner, but also protects the sanitary district, because if it's insufficient, if it's not maintained, there's a backup, there's a sewage spill, the district is ultimately responsible, even if it occurs on private property. So the district has an inherent interest in making sure that everyone keeps their maintained. You might look into contacting, and there's lots of plumbers in Ojai who do camera work, and they could camera it. Sometimes you could ask and coordinate. I don't know whether we have staff available right now to do that, but you can sometimes coordinate that, or the plumber can coordinate it with the district, and the district inspector will come out if they don't have recording capacity on their camera. Cameras don't.
The district
All it is
ran a
live.
camera on my PSL. I did a remodel.
The
17,
district
18.
did, or the
No,
plumber?
Travis was there.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it was a district.
Inspector will witness the camera.
That's all it is a witness. It's done by the plumber.
No, it's Travis.
Travis. Okay. Was he wearing his hat?
What year was that?
2017, 18.
Okay. All right, he was wearing his hat then. Yeah.
Must have.
That sounds like an impact fee. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, there's a benefit to it.
Understand.
You know what you got. And if
I
there's
know
any
what I
issues-
got. We put it in, so.
No, not the PSO. The PSO.
What do you mean by PSL?
Private sewer lateral. It's from the main in the street. You own it. You're responsible for it.
That was guy that did the project, full project, and in the line from Del Norte all the way over, put in all the laterals going.
A new Y in.
Contractor. And like I told you guys, I try and do everything right, so I hired Complex.
That was done in the 2005 range?
Somewhere around, no, this for my ADU project, but no, the 2005 range is when the Lower Arborlata Sewer
That's what you're referring.
it was somewhere around 2005, I believe.
Okay, but still,
Put in the main
the
on.
Y aside,
And the lateral.
the lateral to your home, those two?
He did all that work, one
Okay.
contractor, same guy. did.
Okay, well, that's still 20 years ago. I'd still take a look at it.
So what's the maintenance program normally on your PSL?
Well, as Allison, and it's codified in our ordinances, indicated, either at the sale or transfer, or remodel,
Or major
or
remodel.
major
That's what I-
addition to the system, from a fixture unit perspective. And your ADU would appear to have triggered that. That's why I kind of brought it up.
Okay, well, that means everybody in the Lower Arborlata Sewer Association should be getting a letter saying that they
So
should.
if they've done remodel in excess of $25,000.
In 20 years.
No, we're not talking about the time frame.
It's the private sewer lateral. It's the lateral that runs from your house to the line. They would have inspected it when you
Right.
did in
If
2000.
you guys had people there inspecting it, I was there when that.
That would have been the last inspection, was 2005.
Correct. And so a triggering event is the remodel or construction with a value exceeding 25,000 would require it be redone.
Can you send me that information, Allison? So I make sure we
Yeah.
get it done right.
Yeah, so, okay. You have another question?
Seems to be some discussion that we should negotiate these fees because, gosh, we're doing it for low-income people. But when we established these fees, which were established several years ago, we did a full-on study of how much it would cost to replace the plant, all that kind of stuff. That's what those fees fall out from. So we don't have any room to go back and just willy-nilly decide that arbitrarily we're gonna, this type of thing, we're gonna charge that. This type of thing, we're gonna charge this. So the question I have is, I think it's been more than 8 years since we revisited those fees. Is that right? Do you remember? You guys have been here a while. It hasn't happened in my lifetime, I know that.
I came on the board in 18 and those fees were established at that time.
Yeah, I think
And
that was
we've not changed those.
2016 or 17.
We've not changed those since.
No.
We changed them in 2020.
Well, that wasn't the whole, that wasn't the review of wholesale review that went down in 2016 or 2017. That was,
All right.
It was an escalation based on
Yeah.
When we
inflation.
started the district, it was $16,000 connection fee, whether you had a tiny ADU, huge mansion. And that was questionable, so we, fair, changed it based on,
We changed it and we made it retroactive to 2018 or 19,
16.
as I recall.
that was after I joined in 2020. So we changed it.
We made some adjustments and wrote checks to people.
Correct.
Allison, I'm sure.
That was based on the new.
Writing a bunch of checks.
Because we were not honoring. That was one of the.
well, there was delay that was, yeah, there was a lot of, I was kind of opposed to that and it's still delayed and turned out, finally the question is, okay, how much is this going to cost the district in refunds? And that was a relatively, I won't say affordable, but it was a reasonable enough figure. And that was,
Thousands.
Around $100,000 that we rebated.
it was a little more than that, but was less than
We've been
200.
down this road a little bit before, but I kind of, pending what we see, as far as what you're asking for, show me the law. We can look it up too without him having to show us that.
Well, he's the one doing the arguments,
He's
though.
got the opinion,
He has to be able to support his argument, citing that.
Established through the vein thing that we have the right to do these kind of.
Mr. Vane has already lost in
What we're
court.
arguing about is, how much should we charge? And well, that's, if we're gonna get into that, then it seems we have to go down the route of redoing that whole analysis that was done 15 years ago, whatever it was.
I could guarantee you that $16,000 number would go up.
That's what I think too.
Yes, so let's just take it one step at a time, please. Okay, so having said that, thank you, Mr. Berryman. We're going to adjourn and continue your appeal to ostensibly a date certain in November.
Contact you. for
And
availability.
thank you for your presentation.
Thank you guys for your service. I appreciate y'all being here.
I'm going to close this public hearing at 8:08. Okay, and then at this point, I think we need to move into closed session. Item 13. I'm reading it, item 13 into the record, which is conference with legal counsel, closed section. And we'd like to do that at this point. And thank you.
Thank you.
That would leave Jack and Dennis.
Wait, Dennis, does this need to be read into the record before we enter closed session? Correct?
Did what need to be read into the record?
Chair Ulrich needs to read it verbatim into the record before we actually convene closed session.
Yeah, I'll just read it right now. We're going into closed session to confer with legal counsel on public employee discipline, dismissal, and release under Government Code 54957, and also on anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9 D2 on 2 cases. We'll reconvene afterwards in public session and report on any action that's been taken.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to close the public session at 8:10 and the open session, and we're going to go into
Ask Rick Vane and Taylor to leave.
closed session 8:10.
And you guys can do your thing.
We're back in.
Yep.
Okay. We're reconvening the open session of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Board of Directors at 9:17 PM. And we have no actions to taken to report.
Closed session.
So from the closed session. And at this point, we're also ready to close the open session. So I'm going to say at like 9:17, we're adjourning. Very good.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.